Hello, and welcome to Soothing Pod's Sleep Stories. My name is Chris, and I'm going to tell you a wonderful story that will lull you into a peaceful and restful sleep. Tonight, I will guide you on a soothing journey through the fjords of Western Norway. Before we begin, let us take a moment to relax and find comfort in the space we are in. Close your eyes for a minute. Right now, we will focus on quieting our minds. An easy way to do this is to focus on the noises around you. Can you hear the rumble of a fan? Or the air conditioning? Maybe it's the sound of crickets, or the steady drone of cars. Whatever it is, key in on that noise and let its cadence calm you. Now that you've focused your attention, take a deep breath and listen to the sound of my voice. Really hear the words I am saying. There is no need to let your mind wander to your daily obligations. There are so many wonderful, soothing things you can be thinking about instead. Consider how wonderful the blankets feel around your body, or how soft the bed is as it cradles you. Think of the comfort that can be found in this dark, relaxing room, where you have nothing to do but drift closer and closer to a refreshing night's sleep. Now that you are relaxed, let us begin our journey to the rugged coast of Norway, where a world unlike any other awaits us. You find yourself on the west coast of Norway in the summertime, at Fjord. A UNESCO-protected site, Fjord has long been considered one of the most beautiful fjords in the world. Since there are approximately 1,000 fjords located in just Norway alone, this distinction is quite a badge of honor. It's nearly 4 a.m. and the sun has just begun to creep up over the mountains around your tent. This time of year, the sun is only down from around 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., giving you plenty of time to enjoy the beautiful land around you. You stretch your arms high as that warm orange light begins to glow around you. You pull on a cozy jacket and take a deep breath before you unzip the door of your tent. The sight before you is otherworldly. 1,000-foot tall cliffs tower above a vibrant blue narrow river at its base. Dark green, lush hillsides are woven into the cool granite cliffs, nestling into a home wherever it can be found. The green is a welcomed, magnificent contrast to the stark white mountaintops, which are dusted with snow year-round. It's as if a painting has come to life. Every inch of the land in front of you is awe-inspiring and pure. You take a deep breath of the brisk morning air. You can taste the sweetness of the wildflowers, the chill of the snow-capped mountaintops, the freshness of the salt water at the base of the mountains. You gather your bags and begin the walk down a long, winding dirt path that leads to the water. You pass through fragrant fields full of fringed pink blossoms. You pause for only an instant to take them in. Here, tucked within the fjord, the sounds of the outside world are kept at bay. You hear only the gentle whisper of the fringed pink blossoms brushing against one another. With every soft gust, the flowers seem to sing. You continue down the dirt path. Here, it feels as if you are the only person in the world. The solitude is comforting, encouraging you to connect with yourself and the land. The moment you begin your journey into the fjord, you're able to leave your life and obligations behind. Carved by glaciers over millions of years, the fjord around you has a long history. The movement of the glaciers chipped away at these rugged cliffs, creating the long, narrow valleys that stand to this very day. The word fjord itself comes from a word meaning a place where one fares through. As you settle into a small kayak at the water's edge, the meaning seems just right. With a small push, you are off, floating on the deep blue water. Though the water underneath your boat is salt water, it is utterly still. The narrow riverbed and towering mountains protect the water from any disturbance, allowing you to cruise over glassy water as if it were a lake. You can't help but gaze up at those snow-capped mountains. It seems impossible that they could be so tall. It's almost as if they're resting against the orange and pink sky above you. For a moment, you feel incredibly small, floating freely on the water. You are a small dot against the massive mountain range. The world around you is expansive and mysterious, full of wonder to behold and beauty to discover. You brush your hand in the cool water below your boat. You stop paddling, content with moving wherever the water desires to take you. You unzip your plush jacket and lay it behind you, settling against it like a soft pillow. Today, the temperature is perfect. Warm, but with a gentle breeze that whisks away even the slightest touch of humidity. As that ever-rising sun kisses your skin, you can't help but close your eyes. With your eyes closed, you are truly drifting. Physically and in thought, it feels soothing to be floating without a worry in the world. Here, you are truly weightless. Can you feel the softness of the air? The gentle rock of the boat on the smooth water? Can you hear the sound of that Arctic water sweeping against the kayak? Can you feel the lovely heat on your skin from the sun's rays? You open your eyes and gaze down into the water at your feet. The distinct deep blue comes in a rainbow of shades. Some deeper parts of the water look endless, though there are light, crystal blue patches where you can nearly see the bottom. As the glaciers moved and carved this stunning landscape, gravel and sand deposits were left behind. Underneath the water, the surface is a landscape all of its own. with valleys and hills of depth. As you come around a bend, an entirely new noise fills the air, the steady, calming roar of water coursing down over a rock wall. Long after you hear it, it comes into view. Seven Sisters Waterfall. Seven Sisters Waterfall is composed of 7 separate streams of equal beauty. Though it is a staggering 1,350 feet tall, Seven Sisters is only the 39th tallest waterfall in all of Norway. The cliffs around the falls are coated in thick patches of moss, fed continuously by the mist that floats off the waterfall. In fact, everything around the waterfall is engulfed in a thin gossamer of cold mist. The air around it seems to glisten as if it's filled with thousands of crystals. Rainbows reflect off the spray of the waterfall, revealing themselves in mosaic patterns that seem to shift with the breeze. Even from a distance, you can feel the mountain water as it comes tumbling down. You glance to the other side of the cliffs, where one lone waterfall cascades down, down, down. Known as the Suter, there is a rich history behind these 2 waterfalls. For centuries, tales of their origin have been told around campfires. While the 7 sisters dance over the cliffside, across the way, the Suter beckons to them from afar. Eternally flirting, but never able to meet, the waterfalls are destined to continue their dance forever. High above you, beside the waterfall, a small cluster of wooden buildings are nestled into a mountainside meadow. Known as Gnivsfla, the farm has existed since at least the 1600s. The fjord is peppered with aging, abandoned farming communities, tucked against waterfalls, into cliffsides, and on plateaus. The farms speak to the history of the Norwegian people. The people who farmed here were ingenious, able to survive and thrive by being connected to the land and working with it, not against it. They settled into these valleys, searching for fertile soil and favorable weather, which they found in abundance. You picture yourself up in Gnivsfla, waking up and stepping outside your door to be greeted with the stunning, untouched fjord. It's a humbling, inspiring thought for a moment. For centuries, families lived their entire lives dependent on this beautiful landscape. They farmed those lush green meadows. They boated and fished in the very same dark blue water that you're floating on top of now. There's a warmth that begins to radiate in the center of your chest. You're reminded of how wonderful this world is, how incredibly far we've come, and where we've all come from. As you continue to row, you pass farm after farm after farm, all cared for by UNESCO. These farms have been preserved and carefully maintained to protect the history of these buildings and the land. As the sun continues to rise, you row away from the waterfalls, heading towards the shoreline. You bid the clear water farewell as you hop in a vehicle and drive up the winding coastline. On the drive, you turn against the towering mountains as you drive higher and higher into the alpine landscape. Several waterfalls pass you by, sprinkling alpine water across the windshield. At the end of this beautiful drive, you arrive at your destination, Hurdlesetra Summer Farm. 520 meters above sea level, this farming village has existed for over 300 years. The village is tucked into a wide valley floor, surrounded by rolling meadows full of wildflowers and mountains on either side. 30 traditional Norwegian farmhouses make up the small village. Each building is wooden, with moss and grass-covered roofs that allowed them to blend into the landscape with ease. A bubbling stream runs through the center of town. Like the world's calmest soundtrack, the water lazily courses over rocks left by the shifting glaciers thousands of years ago. This village has maintained its tradition of goat farming for over 300 years. You glance around to see goats grazing happily all across the plush meadow. Some scamper over the rooftops, just as they have for years. You dreamily meander through the center of the village. The sod roofs on the buildings seem like something out of a fairy tale. Sod roofs were a staple in Scandinavian homes, used for their ability to insulate and waterproof homes in this cold part of the world. They were also well loved for their beauty. The waterproofing element, birch bark, was covered in sod to keep the birch in place and the home warm year-round. You settle into the grass beside the village. Sheep, goats, and horses all wander through the fields, getting their fill of the fresh grass. There's immense comfort in the slowness of life here. You're tempted to close your eyes and sink back into the wildflowers. Instead, you gaze upon the landscape, the village standing proud among the snow-capped mountains, the creek winding its way through the picturesque valley, the lake sparkling just in the distance. It is one of the most incredible sights you've ever seen. Content, you rise to your feet and begin your journey back to the car. On the long drive back down to the Fjord, you truly take in the sight of the waterfalls against the green and white mountains. This is a place of unrivaled beauty and wildness. You feel yourself growing sleepy as you return to your tent for the night. Curled up in your sleeping bag, you listen to the sound of the plants swaying outside and the waterfalls dancing in the distance. You feel your body entirely relax. You have found peace and comfort here. Even cozied up in your tent, you still feel connected to nature just outside the thin nylon walls. You can almost feel the pulse of the wilderness just underneath your body as you lay on the ground, drifting closer and closer to a place of relaxation. The soothing weight of sleep washes over your body, preparing you for a restful night's sleep. Thank you for joining me on this trip to the fjords of Norway. I hope you have found some comfort in the story and are closer to a tranquil sleep. Please join me again tomorrow for another story, here on Soothing Pod. Until then, sweet dreams.